All right. After a brief delay, I am declaring us live as I always do. Wednesday night, PGA DFS, live before lock. Ben Rasa, Jason Rouslin, Awesemo.com. We're ready to go. The Memorial. This is a big one. I am super excited. Jason, tell the people it's never not a sweat before this show.
So we're on there. It's, 8:15. We're solid. We're just chatting. We're chatting about Rory and chatting about Bryson. And all of a sudden, I get the black screen of death. Not even the blue one, where it's like, hey, you've got too many things open. No. A straight black screen of death. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't read nothing. I couldn't see you. Then when you restart your computer after a black screen of death, it forces an update. I don't know if anybody knows that. So here we are. We're a couple minutes late. I apologize to everybody. But that's not going to stop us from giving away 15 tickets to our sponsor, Super Draft. Thank you for them. $5K to first place over there at the long drive this week. So all you got to do, we're going to be giving away 15 tickets. You're going to answer some trivia questions in the chat, of course. And if you haven't signed up yet, it's a perfect time to do so. Their biggest prize pools for golf are this week. Sign up using promo code Awesemo10. You're going to get $10 free on your first positive 10 or more and 20 free on your first 100 or more. So again, you can play on superdraft.io or download in the App Store. Superdraft, no limits, more winning. So thankfully, that's not going to stop us. And hopefully, the weather isn't going to stop the players this week as we can go right into the waves, weather, and withdrawals. Luckily, no withdrawals.
Luckily, no withdrawals. Boy, the weather, I know we're going to get a lot of questions, so we're obviously going to get to it right at the top here.
Yeah.
It's changing on the fly, and this is what we have to deal with. It looks nasty tomorrow. There could be a delay. It looks windy tomorrow. Truth be told, I'm not doing much with it. I have a couple of stacks of both tee times, morning and afternoon, but I don't see something where it's like, okay, this window has a clear advantage. It's just not like that right now.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm seeing is it's going to be gusty, right? But they told us it was going to be gusty last week, and it ended up not really being such. It looks like it's going to be 10 to 15 miles an hour all day tomorrow. So I really don't see a way to play it. Maybe if play gets pushed back during the day, maybe the late afternoon guys play good or have a better opportunity to score. Maybe in Showdown, I'm going to take a look at it. But last week, Ben, I let it determine how I did my lineups, and it cost me. Justin Thomas and Victor Hovland, which were two clear good plays, ended up being in what I thought was going to be the bad weather. I had basically zero, and that just kind of screwed me. And the guys that I ended up playing heavy on, like Byung-Hun An, Jordan Spieth, they got screwed by actually getting delayed by the weather. So when you add that level of variance, which I think I said these exact words last week, when you add a level of variable and variance to golf, you're really asking for it. And that's exactly what happened with me last week in the weather. So I'm going to try and ignore it, which probably means it's going to end up being a good thing to do, right? Because that's how it works.
I say this often, and I do want to say, yes, Sneds has withdrawn. He's got the dreaded O next to his name, so don't play him unless you're extremely bold. But I'm not saying there won't be a tee time wave an advantage somewhere. I'm saying that right now, I don't know how you could possibly identify where it is. So if you can't quantify it, it's not good information. And for me, there's plenty of things that I'm going to be breaking down tonight, whether not really anything. I will say, Benyon seems to go off first every tournament. I don't know if you've noticed that, but he's in the first group again.
What is up with that, man? He even it's funny enough, to the point where he even made a comment about it. I think a couple of weeks ago on Twitter. I mean, just so funny, man. I don't know what it is, what it's all about. But he's going off. There's a couple of other guys that he's going off. Louis Oosthuizen, who I know is a favorite of ours on the show a couple of times. A couple of more guys in that morning wave going off. Luke List just got added to the field. Alex Noren and Matt Fitzpatrick. That's an interesting tee time at 7:11. 7:23, I have some interest. Brendan Steele. Does Scotty Scheffler make a cut? You can hold that answer, actually, until the Make the Cut segment. And they are playing with Matt Wallace, who's had an uptick recently. And then you got the power people coming out. Morikawa, DeChambeau, Cantlay, Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Xander Schauffele. Those are in the morning. So if you're looking for the stacks in the morning, that's what I would do. Flipping over to the afternoon, we got some heavy hitters coming in the afternoon, though. It seems like a lot of focus will be on that Tiger Woods pairing, right?
Oh, that's a massive pairing. No galleries, which will help. I know Rory has said many times he doesn't like playing with Tiger. There's some great ones. This is a great field. This is stronger than, honestly, like the Masters, where you have a bunch of, not no names, but just older guys who have no real chance to make the cut. This field is absolutely stacked. It's an invitational. I think we have 131, I want to say.
Yeah, with the Sneds withdraw now. Yep.
So, listen, we are prime. There's no complaint. I complain a lot about a lot of things. You're not going to see any complaints about the course. I do think, and if you want to get right into some course changes here, I think this is going to play pretty difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we move on to our second topic, the course changes to affect the scoring. Last week, we saw an under par cut, -2. We saw the winning score, creep up close to 20 under par with Morikawa and Justin Thomas. And early on in the week, we got the indication, and we got the indication last week a little bit from the tour, that it was going to play different. They were going to attempt to speed up the greens. They were going to attempt to lengthen the rough. But a couple of observations there, because John Rahm said earlier in the week they kind of wanted it to play like a U.S. Open. Here's what I noticed in the quick little 9-hole match between Finau, Rahm, and those other guys today, McDowell and Poulter. It looks like the rough was not longer. I saw Finau hit an approach shot that he got to stop on a dime, and if it's playing longer, you're not going to be able to get to stop anything out of the rough on a dime. I did notice that the green speeds were up, though. I noticed that the way they were putting those 8-footers, it was like they were putting 4-footers. So it looks like the green speeds are at 13 on the stimp meter for all my golf fans, which means very fast. But I don't think the rough is as long as they wanted it to be. Maybe that was because they didn't get the weather to grow it as quickly as they could. Still, I expect scoring to be more difficult. And one of the things that's going to attribute to that is I believe they're going to play the par 4 14th, as they played at a drivable par 4 last week. They moved the tees up to about 310 yards. It won't be that this week. And that alone will affect the scoring.
Yeah, I watched a little today, and I saw, and I've seen this before, Jack saying they have a lot of different tee boxes that they can use. They can be creative with some of these holes. And then I watched Rory's presser today, and he was saying, a lot of these courses that they've played, if you're short-sided, it's not really a penalty. You're not punished. These greens are slow. You can hold. I don't think that'll be the case here. There's going to be some holes that if you miss, and particularly short-sided, you're dead. You're not going to have an easy, even a remote possibility for up and down. And that alone, I'm not saying we're going to see US Open, but I think a 14, 15 under winner is very possible, even a little lower than that. Instead of going, JT should have been, he could have been 21. Yeah. What a tournament, by the way. We're not going to talk about Workday, but that was insane.
I like that you brought up Rory's presser today. I watched his and Bryson's, and Rory said, and I echo exactly what he said. It was some of the best TV, honestly, that I've watched in a really long time. So enjoyed it, but that's, I think, as much as we need to go into it. So just a quick question before we move on to Tiger returning. The 14th hole, it provided a lot of fun last week. Would you like to see them go back to everyone can drive it other than just Bryson at 360? Would you like them to move it up to the 310? Or do you think for this tournament, they should just keep it as a par 4, 380-yard hole?
So I think it's because of waste management. I have become a big proponent that every course should have one risk-reward par 4, not a gimme par 4.
No, it's not gimme by any stretch.
Yeah. No, listen, I roster, but like Usti, I'm not going to even get into what was going on at Travelers, where I think he dropped it in the water, but that's a different show for a different time. I like because it's a chess match. Yes, you're going to go for it, but you can be punished. It's not a gimme bird. I like that. And I think that every course should force these guys to make a decision. So I hope they provide that, because you see it. We saw it down the stretch with JT. I thought the most interesting part, besides the playoff, was when Hovland, Morikawa, and JT got there. And it was like, all right, are they going to pull driver? Morikawa did. He went in the water. JT didn't. That chess match to me is one of the most fascinating things about a short par 4.
I love it. And like you said, it's not a gimme one. It's not like, others that we see. There's water front right if you miss. If you go long left and they put that pin in the front left, you're dead near that bunker. You're going to struggle to make 4, let alone 3. Now, Cantlay made a really good 3 last week from that spot that I'm talking about.
He was
when he was way up. But if they put those green speeds at 13, he's not holding it from there like he did last week. So I love that. I'm same with you. I hope that they do put the tee up. I think it provides some good drama. So, all right, let's move on to The King Has Returned. Maybe a little snippet from a favorite Disney movie of mine that I took. But Tiger is back, first time in 5 months. What do you expect out of him?
Listen, I think he's better suited than most to come off an insanely long layoff because he's Tiger. But I don't expect that much. So my original plan was just like, I'm not going to play him and I won't lose sleep over it. I decided to be a little creative. I used him in cash because Tiger, if there's someone that knows what he's doing around Memorial, it's certainly him. I think he's going to play okay. I certainly like Brooks and Rahm and even Xander and other guys around him more. But I thought that I could get away in cash with him, and maybe he throws up a middling finish where in cash it's pretty useful, and in tournaments I'm glad I don't have 20% like the field potentially has.
Yeah, the ownership did scare me a little bit, but he was always going to be one of my main plays. My thing with Tiger has been for a while now, since he's come back, since he's won at Augusta, is if he shows up to a tournament, he expects that he's got a chance to win because he's got nothing left to show. He knows he can't beat these guys every single week. If he played every single week, his body would break down. So he picks and chooses spots, and I think that makes me want to play him when he does play the 15 times he's going to play a year, because I think that he thinks he can come in the top 15. He's not going to play if he's going to middle on to a top 30 finish. He's just not going to do it. Of course, it could still happen with his play, but I don't think he's in the mindset to show up and try and miss cuts and stuff. He doesn't want to tarnish his legacy like that. So I'm going to back him. I think that it's fine too. I think you bring up a good point at 9,000. He's a good cash play. And I think that they might have done that price to entice people, especially the gamers that are coming in that don't normally play golf, that know who Tiger Woods is. So I think that's helping to the ownership a little bit. But 5 months he's been without playing, so we don't really have a clue where he's at. Speaking of 5, though, only 5 guys above 10K this week. Maybe exactly along the same line of the reason, because there's just a lot of more casual players. What do you make of that? Our own Nolan Kelly kind of put out a tweet that said this is more of a strength of field thing than it is a soft pricing. Which way do you lean? Are you kind of agree with him, or do you think it's a mixture of both?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty fair point. It's a mixture of both, and I definitely think they want to make it soft because building with really premium, it's hard for people. And now you can plug 2 or 3 of your favorite players in regardless and have no problem. I found it interesting. We'll get into the dynamics, but for me, I had a lot of problems jamming scars and scrubs, mostly because of the scrubs. I just don't like that really cheap range. But, you have kind of, I don't want to say Bryson's on an island. He's the only one north of 11 here, which is kind of crazy. And then you've got, as you mentioned, the other ones, and these are going to be your, they're Rory, JT, and Bryson on Superdraft or 1X, and we're going to get there in a minute. But I kind of mixed and matched. For me, it's Rory, just because it's going to be Rory until something changes. But did you have a preference when you looked at kind of the big 5 here?
All right. So I've been a perennial fader of Dustin Johnson for far too long. So obviously it cost me at TPC River Highlands. It cost me when I was out at the Tournament of Champions, when I was watching him just dismantle that field and almost hit it in the hole on a par 4. It's been a long battle fading him. So it's like, I'll just keep doing it, I guess, right? I might as well just pay $400 more and go get Rory McIlroy, because I have not been able to say those words. I'm going to just pay $400 more, and instead of Dustin, I'm going to go get Rory. It's been like $1,500 for a long time. Rory's been north of 11 and DJ's been south of 9. So I think it makes it a little easier for me this week to fade DJ, just getting him out of the way. I think that Bryson is changing the game for better or for worse right now. So I think that means I'm just going to play him. I'm not going to go all in, of course, like I did 2 weeks ago, because I think Rory can certainly step up and beat him. But yeah, I was leaning Bryson Rory here with a sprinkle of Morikawa. Now I'm definitely am, after listening to Rory's press conference, hearing that he's been working with his coach for the first time in a while. We saw the impact that can make on these top-level players. Tony Finau last year kind of had something similar happen, came right out and was in the top 5. So I think Rory has a better mentality than anybody else. He's the number 1 golfer in the world, and he knew that he needed to see his coach for the week instead of playing last week. So I think he comes in rare and ready to go, and at 10-7, I think you're getting a total bargain.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we say this all the time, and it doesn't hold any less true here, of course. If JT brings his A game, he's going to be right there. If Bryson brings his A game, he's going to be right there. If Morikawa brings his A game, he could win again. DJ, like these guys, when they play at their best, are going to be there regardless. You just have to try to tread water, look at the ownership. It's hard to make aggressive stands up top just because you run the risk of ruin if you get it wrong. Mm-hmm. I have exposure to most of these guys. I'm not playing Morikawa just because I'm not going to do that at that price. Rory would be my preference, though. I really, as you mentioned, I loved, and maybe it's partly because I did see him speak today. I don't want to say I based too much on that, but I just loved what he said. He played 3 weeks to test the waters with no fans. He realized he was going to do more harm than good by playing workday, so he didn't play. He got his coach over here. He adjusted, and now he's ready for kind of phase 2, which starts with Memorial, and you get a WGC and a couple other big tournaments. So I love where he's at. And to me, he's still the man to beat. I know Bryson's taken apart golf, but I'm still always going to be Team Rory at 10-7.
Yeah, for me, it's if it isn't about the play, it's about the price. 10-7 Rory has paid off tremendously over the last year and a half, and I don't think that 3 weeks on bad golf courses for him is going to change my mind. I mean, maybe TPC River Highlands is not the worst course for him, but certainly RBC Heritage is, and certainly Colonial is not the best for him. So I'm fine, totally fine with going back to Rory. The one we didn't mention mixed in here was Justin Thomas, who played great last week. Seems like, are you getting exposure somewhere to him, or is he more of a fade?
So I did force myself to get some exposure to him just because, listen, he stumbled late and he did kind of blow that tournament, but he's just fantastic. His abilities, Bryson mentioned this, Justin Thomas's wedges are unbelievable. If he gets one, it's just every time with him. He's going to make his putts, doesn't mind tough conditions. So I have more JT than I do. Bryson was kind of the other guy that I didn't get to a ton of, and it was kind of a price thing. I just like those other guys, and I get to steal a couple bucks in salary.
Fair enough. I think that makes a lot of sense. So you mentioned you're, for the most part, fading Morikawa because of 10K. I got the info or the opinions of the guys on the Monday show, Sal and Jeff. So I'll ask you, since we're talking about him. You're not going to pay 10K for him, which puts him number 5 on the board. Is he a top 10 player in the world, though, right now?
Maybe. It's pretty close. I want to see what he can do at a tournament that isn't what we've seen traditionally. So give me a U.S. Open. Give me maybe this week where the cut is 3 or 4 over and the winner is 10 or 11. Because if this is a ball striking contest, he might be number 1 in the world. This guy is unbelievable. But what happens when it's, the GIRs are down and scrambling? You got to make 12 footers for par. He answers every call, but him and Hovland, that is one thing that I am more interesting to see, where it's not just can you hold it together with your scrambling, but if you're not really crisp, you're just straight exposed. And that could be a little taste of that this week.
I think.
I assume you think he's a top 10 player, right?
Yeah, I think that he has consistently shown me over the last year that he possesses something that not many people do, which is what I love in a golfer. It's one of the things that I liked about Spieth when he was good. Okay, and it's one thing I like about Cantlay, and it's one thing I like about Morikawa, is that they are gaining strokes against the field where everybody is losing them. They play the hard holes way better than everybody else. Again, when Spieth was good, this is what he was doing. Whether he was making 50 footers for birdie or not, he was still gaining the strokes where everybody else wasn't. Repeatable golf swing from Morikawa, whether he's in contention or he's missing the cut, it's the exact same golf swing. I love that. I love the repeatability of it. So yeah, I think that, is he 5th in the world right now? If he keeps up this pace, he'll be number 1 in the world because of how official world golf rankings work, right? If he puts up a win every 20 starts, he's going to have 3 wins. Yeah, he'll be in the top 5. So yeah, I do. I think I definitely put him in the top 10. Price sticker shock for me a little bit, but on Super Draft, I believe he's 1.15x. So he's a good anchor of lineups there. And then on FanDuel, he's less expensive than Rahm and a couple other guys. So that's where I'll again try and get leverage. I've been working the leverage coin on Morikawa on FanDuel pretty well. I hope that it continues this week. So yeah, let's move on to the next section down. The mid-price and missed cuts segment. First, I'm going to talk about Justin Rose. Coming off the missed cut, but it was really bad, though. Is he ready for a bounce back, or is his game kind of going back down south?
I mean, it was very concerning. He lost 4 strokes on the approach. He lost 6 strokes if you combined his around the green and putting. And that's just in 2 rounds. That's very hard to do. But at the same time, I think there is a case that, when you don't have it, you don't have it. And it can unravel. Like, if he misses the cut by 1 or 10, what really is the difference? Now, he missed the cut at Travelers too. He loves Memorial traditionally. I did go back to Rose. He's one of the lower owned guys up top. I think you can get leverage. I didn't go crazy, have more Ricky for sure, but I'm not ready to just say Justin Rose is not the player that he's long-term posed to be.
Yeah, in the mid-price or misprice, whichever you want to go about it, Jon Rahm and Xander Schauffele are the cheapest they have been in a real long time, specifically Jon Rahm. I mean, Xander has maybe been in the 9s a couple of times. Rahm hasn't been below 10K, and I can't tell you how long. And then you price Webb Simpson, Victor Hovland, and Hideki Matsuyama all above Rahm. Obviously, I think that's going to jack the ownership up. But of all those bunches, is Rahm still your favorite, or do you think Xander presents a good pivot here?
So I do have some Xander, which is pretty atypical for me. I think he's fine. I'm kind of indifferent to the play. I knew the minute I saw Rahm shoot 64 on Sunday, I knew if they did not price him up, this was going to occur. They didn't price him up, and this is going to occur. I still got over. I like the spot for him. I liked the spot for him last week, and it didn't materialize. For some reason, he could just not connect on those par 5s. Then on Sunday, he destroyed the course. I struggle. I'll be honest. I struggle if I really wanted to play mega tough with a guy like that. We've seen him kind of implode at times when adversity hits. But at the same time, I do like the spot for him. So I'm definitely on Rahm. I'm on Decky. Decky cannot putt. The putter is straight broken right now. No doubt about it.
Yeah, ball striking looks great, but he has not even come close. I mean, he got himself into position for an easy top 5 and blew it on Sunday again. Tough to trust Matsuyama. Is it tough to trust Hovland 6 straight weeks? I mean, I know he's 22 years old and the fittest he'll ever be, but 6 straight weeks, it's a little concerning for me. He's not Sung Jae Im.
Yeah, I mean, I thought 5 straight weeks was concerning, and he was not too concerned last week.
Yeah, I did see that he was your fade, and I basically faded him too. So we can definitely go down this hole together.
No, listen, what can you say? He's as dominant as you can be ball striking. He hasn't putted. Truth be told, I know it sounds ridiculous. The results actually haven't even indicated how well he's playing.
Yeah, it's so true.
Having said that, I think there's a pretty easy case to make this week that he may see different conditions than he's used to, along with the rest of the field. Then on top of it, and I don't want to make too much of this, I have seen the report that came out today that he's possibly using new irons that fit this type of play. I'm not going to pretend I know what that means.
Yeah.
But I think you can make the case either way. If you're playing Hovland and you want to press it, I say more power to you. I don't think it's a plug and play though by any stretch.
Yeah, it's not. And someone's giving you crap for you wouldn't even play Webb Simpson on the Corn Ferry Tour, which could be possible.
Probably true. It depends on what the ownership is, right?
Back on Hovland for a second, then we'll move on to Webb. It does a little bit concern me that he's trying to switch up his irons. I mean, things have been working so well. Does he really think the firmness of the greens is going to matter that much? Maybe. Now, granted, you can add some loft, you can add some spin, you can add a different shaft, you can do all this different stuff. Does it matter in the end? Probably not. I think he's a fine play, but to see him priced at 9,500 above Stars, above Schauffele, above Rahm, above these Ryder Cup guys, I'm just not ready to pay 95 for Victor Hovland when I've got Rahm and Schauffele and even Tiger Woods below him. Now, I'm going to loop these next 2 guys in together because they've been big fades for me in the past. One of them's definitely been a fade for you in the past, and I know this one's a fade for you this week. So I got to talk to you about Webb Simpson and Dan Berger. I know you fade one normally, and it looks like you're fading the other this week. So tell me about those 2 guys.
So I have a little Webb, nothing major. Again, it's nothing against him. I just off of Bermuda, and I know some incredibly sharp people who are convinced that Webb is maybe one of the best in the world right now. I just off Bermuda, I'm gonna roll those shares to Decky or pump up and try to get extra shares of DJ or Rory or anybody that we already discussed. Yep. Now, People have asked. A lot of people are talking about Daniel Berger because his stats have been ridiculous. He was third at RBC Heritage. He won at Charles Schwab before the break, 4th, 5th, and 9th. He's gained across the board. He's done everything right. Do I get things wrong on this show? Yeah. I talked about Hovland last week. I am so off. I cannot stress how little of interest. If I was making 1,000 teams this week, I'm not sure I would play Berger. He is the par 70 Bermuda. Like, I don't look at those splits too much, but this guy has a track that he excels at, and it is par 70s, and it's typically Bermuda. And
I thought you were going to say, and it's coming up.
Yeah, well, listen, it is. St. Jude is where he's won twice. He won at Charles Schwab. He's excelled down in Florida. He doesn't have a lot of history here, so I'm not going to hold that against him, a miscut and a 67th. But I truly believe that long-term, we're not going to see Daniel Berger and the Memorial mix too much. Now, if you want to make the argument he's a different player totally and he's turned a corner, kind of like with Webb's putting, that's fair. But at the ownership that he's going to be, I really said, if he beats me, no sweat, I deserve to lose because I'm just not there in any capacity.
Yeah, I think. No. Okay. I mean, I'm never gonna play Webb at 9.6 when Patrick Cantlay is 9.8. There's just no chance.
Your boy, I forgot about him.
Yeah, there's just no chance. I don't think that there are very few golf courses that I would take Webb Simpson over Patrick Cantlay, and this is not one of them. Maybe a couple more. Yeah, maybe as we get into the season, like that one out in in Greensboro, North Carolina. What's that one? The Wyndham? Yeah, maybe Webb makes sense there versus Cantlay, but not here. Not where you need a little bit of length. Anyways, Berger, his around the green game has saved him, right? It was used to be so bad before he got injured. Then he got injured and he's come back out and it's looked almost significantly changed. That's why I'm a little bit more inclined to be okay playing him here because I've seen the around the green really improve. But at 8,700, it's basically a dead zone because I'm seeing the ownership up top be small. And when you get the opportunity to play these studs at 15 and 13 and 12 and 11% owned, I'm going to take the 2X there and fade the Daniel Berger, the Abraham Answer, and the Gary Woodland chalk, which I'm going to get your opinion on now. Answer and Woodland, along with Berger, all projected to be over 15% owned. Are you going to play any of them, or are you like me, maybe even turn to the betting markets and bet my favorite one on the outright to win the tournament just so I'm covered? But honestly, I'm thinking of fading all of these guys.
I have obviously no shares of Berger.
Yep.
I don't know if I'll get to Woodland either. I have a little answer just because I have some teams that are pretty driver heavy, and he's a very good driver of the ball. But I am with you in the dead range at 8K, flat in middle 8K. And over on SuperDraft, those next tier, not the 1Xs, but like the 1.15, 1.2s. I think you can get away with it. And in a field this strong, you have to make sacrifices. The other thing I just want to say with Chad, it's not binary. Like if Berger comes in 16th, it's not going to be ideal, but it's also not going to be like any big deal. Now, if he comes in first, I'm probably going to have to sell the owl painting, but I'll have to deal. Like there are ways that you can get through. It's not a black and white situation. So, some of these fades, you can get them right and wrong at the same time and still survive.
That's kind of the important. If Simpson and Berger,
we're gonna be all right. I got this one.
Yeah, if Simpson and Berger are finished 1-2 in this tournament, I'm gonna be asking for a loan from you from the owl painting. So
you're not getting a loan from me. We're gonna be asking loans from chat because it's not gonna work for this show. But that's the stance we got to take. It's better than saying I'm gonna take 15% of everyone and raking yourself. That's a no. I'd rather be aggressive. That's how I've always done it.
And it seems like we got some Hedwig fans here in the chat. I know you don't know who Hedwig is, but that's okay. That's still the owl on your picture there.
Fair enough.
All right, let's move into Spinky. Since you just mentioned it, our sponsor SuperDraft. We're going to do a quick segment on them, kind of the top review of the guys we just mentioned, and then we'll go on to, of course, our fun Make the Cut segment where we're going to throw in a bunch of the guys that we didn't talk about. So, getting differential up here is important, especially when you talk about that multiplayer on SuperDraft. So a couple of guys that I had marked down, I had Colin Morikawa. I thought that it was a great spot to use that leverage. He's 10K on DraftKings. He's, 11-6 on FanDuel, but then you come over to SuperDraft here at 1.15x, if I'm not mistaken. Seems like a good place to start your lineups if you think he can keep it going.
Yeah, 1.05x, but you're still getting a little boost there if you don't like JT, Rory, or Bryson. And you're still going to have plenty of room for higher multipliers, of course. And we're going to talk about them at the end of the show, as we always do. But I do want to say, in addition, SuperDraft is just doing all sorts of promos because we've got trivia going on. We mentioned at the beginning of the show, but we have one more.
Yes.
If you enter a minimum of one entry this week in the main SuperDraft PGA contest, I believe it's the $15.
Yep, called the long drive. Yep.
Called the long drive. You're going to have the opportunity to win an additional $15 ticket for free. All you have to do, you enter, be on the lookout for an email for SuperDraft letting you know, and there will be potentially a $15 ticket added to your account. So they are just giving more entries away, overlay as possible. I'm telling you, go over there and boost the bankroll. But in terms for what I would do, obviously Rory's going to appeal no matter what.
Yep.
I'm with you though. Like Decky is 1.1x. I think you can look there. Even Tiger and Rahm 1.15x, kind of in line with what I want to do over on DK. So I think that's where I'm going up top. And then, like I said, we'll get to we'll call them the SuperDraft sleepers at the end of the show here because I have a couple good ones.
Yeah, I'll throw in one more that specifically for SuperDraft, and I think he's going to be low owned on the other sites as well. But he's also 1.15x. It's Brooks Koepka. We know he was a late add to the field. He's priced around all these guys that you just mentioned. I think he'll go really low owned. Excuse me. So I think that Brooks Koepka can set up to be a really low owned play on SuperDraft at 1.15x. So before we move on to make the cut, I just want to turn everybody's attention to our Twitter page where we've got a free monthly pass that we're giving out. All you got to do, of course, check out the pinned tweet if you don't see it there. All you got to do is subscribe to our podcast channel, like, and then leave a 5-star review on our channel with your Awesemo username or Twitter handle, and you'll be entered to win a free monthly pass. It's going to give you access to all of our information, sports, and tools that we have offering right now. And of course, it's going to cover the start of MLB and NBA. So some good stuff here. And all right, now Ryan in the chat just asked us, how about the 7K and under guys? That's where we're moving on to now. I'm going to start with two guys from the 8K range. This is our Make the Cut segment. Matt Kuchar and Jason Day. Matt Kuchar, not playing that great. Jason Day finally a top 10. Do they make the weekend here, though?
Yeah, Jason Day, 6 straight weeks for him. He's another six straight weeker.
Yeah.
I do think they make the cut. This is a slightly easier cut to make. I like Day more than Kuchar, but both kind of can lean on their crafty short games. Tougher conditions are not going to be a problem for them.
No, certainly not. We know Day lives 20 minutes down the street, so
he finally looked all right last week for
he did though. He did.
Yeah.
I see some Spieth chat in here, so I might as well bring up Jordan Spieth to start off the Make the Cut segment. Last week he was a 96% chance to make the cut before the horn blew. 96. Ben, does he do it this week?
No, I rarely do this because normally I think he's too dangerous, but I actually bet Spieth to miss the cut plus 140. And I like that number enough. It's the same story with him. He's got to survive off the tee. He cannot get in some of these situations. You, of course, have a much better read on Spieth in general. I know you're probably on the other side of that.
I mean,
what can you say at this point?
All right, when he's sitting there at -3 with 2 par 5s left and the cut's going to be -2 and he misses, that's obviously a problem. He came out of that weather delay and it looked like he did not care one iota. I think it's a good spot for him to bounce back in because a lot of people will be off him. His ownership last week was 14% at 8,600. It's going to be half that at 7,700. His betting odds are juiced through the roof. So if you have an inclination to play him, gaining strokes off the tee last week and say, yeah, his approaches aren't going to lose 2.5 strokes. It's not going to happen this week. Then yeah, I think it's a fine place to go at 7,700. I do think he makes the weekend. There's no way he's missing back-to-back cuts here at Memorial. If he does, then he's not even going to make the cut at Augusta this year. You can mark that down. So let's move on to Joaquin Niemann and Paul Casey, two important names here at the top of the 7K range. Paul Casey only playing for the second time. Niemann hasn't missed a cut yet coming out of the hiatus. Do both of them see Saturday?
I think so. Feel more. I think most people would say, obviously, Paul Casey is kind of cash-esque guy, is more consistent historically. Niemann, I'll say, if it plays really tough, I worry a little about his short game. He's more of a pure scorer, kind of like Morikawa in a way, where he can really light it up with those irons at times. I think they both do enough in different ways to get through. I feel pretty comfortable actually with Casey this week.
Rory Sabatini had a really nice bounce back, couple of eagles. Seems like his game was back in form. Does he make it back-to-back weeks here at Muirfield?
No. He's someone, partly he got squeezed because of the range. I didn't like it with Horschel, Kisner, people like Streelman. There's a lot of guys in there. He's just a little too inconsistent for me. He doesn't do anything really bad, but at the same time, I don't know if he can handle, again, a tougher track.
I think that's a fair point. I like him. I think he gets through the weekend. I'll take the other side. His game has been pretty consistent since we've moved out, and he didn't rely on the putter like the next two guys I'm going to ask you. I'll say three guys. These three guys, you put their strokes gained putting last week, and it's insane. Billy Horschel, Ian Poulter,
oh my God,
and Kevin Streelman. I mean, I think they had 25 strokes gained putting between the three of them last week, maybe even more, as sickening as it is. Do any of the three make the weekend?
I'm sure that somebody's going to get through, but who was the first guy? Was it Billy Ho in this group?
Billy Ho, Streelman, and Poult.
So I have some Billy Ho. I was actually pretty impressed. At least he did something. Him and Woodland, they got in, probably shouldn't have, and then they made the most of it on the weekend.
Yep.
Poulter, I mean, he surged too, but I cannot. His irons were not good. He just gained 9 strokes putting. Streelman, I've had a lot of questions on him. I get it. This is just, to me, again, a change of the course. If the course plays exactly like Workday, I certainly would regret not getting some exposure to him. But if it doesn't, I think we don't see the best version of him. So not for me this week.
Yeah, back-to-back top 10s. That's definitely playing above his standard deviation. There's no doubt about it. Byung-Hyun Ahn, speaking of standard deviation, does he make the weekend after that blundering of performance? We've got some really good, smart golf people in here, by the way. Joey, our guy handling the trivia, just asked the tallest golfer ever to play, and I had no idea it was Phil Blackmon. I should have thought of that, but I've looked at some good golf fans. We love to see all that. I wouldn't have thought of that off the top of my head either. That's pretty good.
Even if I had Google, I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, that's true. I guess you could type it in Google, but these guys are typing it way faster than they're asking Google. They definitely just knew the answer. So back to Byung-Hyun Ahn, Benny Ahn here. Does he make the weekend here? Does he figure it out and not shoot 5 over on round 1?
He was rallying before that horn blew. He really was. I think he's all right. Scrambling can serve him well. He's going to have to make putts, and we know that's very, very dicey at best. I mean, what do you make? I do think he makes the weekend.
Yeah, I do too. So He started his day 2 after shooting 4 over on day 1, I believe. Yeah, 4 over, shot 76 on day 1. Made an 18-footer, made a 19-footer, made a 20-footer, missed a 5-footer. That is just Benny Ahn putting. That's what you're going to have to do if you want to roster this guy. I'm going to roster him, but he's going out first again, so you're either going to be thankful you played him right away or you're going to be regretting playing him right away. I like to wake up in the morning a little bit before I do that, so I'm probably not going to play him in anything important because of that. The first guy that I'll play that's important is the next guy I'm going to ask you about, and one of your guys, Louis Oosthuizen, going off at 7:11 in the morning. Does he get through the weekend? I mean, you chronicled his terrible back nine, was it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oost. Listen, I say it every week, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but there's really not much you can take from Louis' stats week to week to correlate to how he's going to play. When he's not popular, I always get over. And when he is popular, I try to temper expectations. So going out early, I don't see any reason why he doesn't possess the abilities to get going on this course. I have what I normally have. I'm over the field, and I'm going to roll the dice as I always do with him.
Me too. I think he's going to come back eventually. Listen, he was at the beginning of this year. We thought he was going to be a top 10 player in the world again. He looked good at the President's Cup. He won a tournament. So, I mean, it's tough for me to go away from. I think he makes the weekend. If we're gonna, quick question from Andrew in the chat on the course is going to play similar to years past in the Memorial, not like the workday. Yes, we both expect it to be around 15 under or 16 under for the win. We both expect an over par cut this week. I don't think it'll get to the +3 or 4 because I saw Finau in the 9-hole match today. The rough didn't look as long. So I think we're going to see like a +1, maybe even par cut. Not 2 under though, like we saw.
Barring weather, of course. Like if it's crazy windy, then all hell's gonna break loose. But
yeah, for sure.
Yep, I'm with you.
All right, Doc Redman, been super hot with his ball striking and his irons. Does he make the weekend?
No. This is another guy that and listen, this is basing on that narrative. I don't think these are the type of players that are suited to play harder conditions just yet. They attack constantly. They can go 22 under each week. This is not that. So not on Doc Redman this week.
Okay. Adam Hadwin, Corey Connors, Cam Champ, Matt Wolf. Got some big names in there, some ownership in there. You can go rapid fire or you can just pick one.
I'll take Hadwin. I think he's the safest, a little more grinded out. But talk to me real quick about Wolf and Champ because that's more they're aggressive with the drivers. Can they stay out of trouble here?
Yeah, let's talk about Wolf. So he was coming off his second place finish, and I spoke exactly about this last week on the show. I said, are we going to see consistency or are we just going to go back to seeing Matt Wolf unprepared after a big finish, totally blow it? Well, his swing looked really good. His irons looked really good. I watched all 36 holes that he played. It looked like he did zero homework on the golf course. Zero. He had 5 water balls in the 2 days. He put himself into positions that he shouldn't have even been close to doing. He was taking 3 wood where he needed to hit 4 iron. He just was doing everything wrong. That goes to the preparation. That goes to the maturity aspect I believe that you need in this game, especially to play hard courses like this. So hopefully he learned. Hopefully he studied. And if he did, I think he's a really good GPP play this week at 7,400. We know he has upside. I'm sticking with him, but because he was so unprepared last week, I'm not going to put him in anything big this week. I'm not going to put him in my biggest lineup or anything like that. But I think he's a great target for Millie Maker. We know he's got upside. So at 7,400, I do like it there. Does he make the weekend? I'm going to say it's a tough one for me. It's a toss-up. If he makes the weekend, I think he could make some noise into the top 25. But like, let's see, who just said it in our chat here? Carl actually said it. It's a bad course for Wolf. I agree. It just doesn't seem like it's a perfect course. He likes to spray the ball a little bit. At the Rocket Mortgage, you can get away with that. At Bjornfield Village, you can't. So
you'd be punished.
Cam Champ, it didn't do really anything for me last week. I mean, another decent week striking his iron. So yeah, I actually think he gets for the weekend, but I don't think he's gonna be in the top 20 this week. Okay, a couple more guys. Scotty Scheffler been playing bad. Does he cheat?
Oh God. So I'm still sticking with a little. I've toned it down. I've just been I'm not gonna lie. I've truly been disappointed because I thought that he had the potential to be in the Hovland Morikawa category. That is not the case right now. Needs to just be better. Not giving up completely, but toned it down.
2 guys that have kind of had resurgence that are similar type players, Harris English and Lucas Glover. Harris English, I believe he is the last person to come back from the COVID positives, if I'm not mistaken. I think everybody else is McCarthy. Those guys, I believe they're all back, but Cauley. So does Harris English and Lucas Glover keep up the good play and see the weekend?
I'm going to say Glover does. A little more concerned about Harris English. He was chalk a couple times in spots I didn't love, and I'm just not really there again. I don't have a strong. It's not like a situation where I hate the play. I just not really for me.
I didn't give my take on Scheffler. I think he's. Yeah. I think there's something going wrong because it has not looked anywhere close to good. He had that withdrawal randomly that he didn't end up playing in one event. Yeah, there's something going on. I'm just gonna let 7,200 Scotty Scheffler beat me at this point in this tournament if that's going to be the case. A couple more: Shane Lowry and Keegan Bradley, who led the field in ball striking last week. Just couldn't putt. Maybe the faster greens will help him.
Yeah, lost 8 strokes putting, gained 10.7 with the approach. My God,
that's fire.
Disturbing. I like both of them. Shane Lowry, notoriously good in adverse conditions. Made, I believe he said 20 birdies. I saw his presser. He's scoring really well. So these are the type of guys, last man in, you can look to them in the low 7s.
I agree. So you like Lowry as well?
I do, yep.
Yeah. I'm definitely a favorite of him this week. All right, a couple more. Joel Damon was 20% owned last week, and we're actually going to get to Steele. So thanks for the question, Jalen. He's next on my list. Let's start with Joel Damon, 20% owned. He's going to get like a quarter of that this week. Does that mean he makes the cut?
Listen, I think this is the important. I'm gonna incorporate a quick plug. This is one of the many reasons you should get behind the paywall, because you look at our ownership projections, and someone like Dahmen, you can see the masses are soured, and I get it. But man, it's a pretty interesting leverage spot to hang on. Not saying play 40%, but you can play 10% and get leverage this week. Whereas if you did that last week, you could not. So I kept some shares. He looked awful. I'm not saying that he just flips a switch, but I also don't think it's a given he shoots 15 over again. I'm going to play some Dahmen.
Yeah, there was a note passed to me that he hadn't touched clubs for like 2 weeks in those 2 weeks that he took off. It looked like it. And it certainly looked like it. So maybe that note that was passed to me was not a lie. I'm not going to give it. Like,
it looked like he was, smoking meth for 2 weeks. Not touching clubs shouldn't make you 15 over immediately. Like, let's just get back. He's a great ball striker. Just keep pepper the G.
Pull and play.
Yeah, come on now. He should be better than that.
Brendan Steele had a similar type week to Keegan Bradley. Gained, I think it was like 8.5 strokes on the approach. Looked good around the green. Gained another 2.5 there. On the green, though, was atrocious. So do we just play them in the same lineup and know that they're going to make the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, you could look to things like that. Steele's a little all over. He gained a ton of strokes putting, lost a ton of strokes putting. I get the upside like a Millie Maker type play, but at the same time, I'm not too worried if you don't get him in the player pool.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I do like him. I think that I like seeing the fact that he got hot with his putter. That means that he's not like a Benny on and a terrible putter. We know it's close. Yeah, it can be other parts of his game seen there. This is a guy that we were perennially playing a year and a half ago at 8,500 almost every week. He was a DFS darling, similar to like how Tony Finau has become with most. So yeah, I like Steele. 7,100, I think it's a decent spot for him. All right, before we move on to our deep dive and hot takes, I got a few more. Max Homa has been brought up a couple of times. Eric Van Rooning your lineup, and JT Postman.
Of those three, Homa definitely my favorite. EVR probably the most interesting in terms of volatility, but I think Homa's pretty close. Ches is down there. A couple guys like that I did go to in spots. What about you?
Of those guys, check out our Top Golfers tool, everybody, if you haven't. Alex's new tool that he put out with the DFS simulations. It actually has Eric Van Rooyen as one of the top leverage spot guys. His ownership is going to be 1%, and it looks like he came out in the top 6 about 4.95% of the time. So definitely an interesting spot there, which made me be tempted to go back there. In a millionaire maker setting, I played Van Rooyen in like some big lineups recently. I'm not doing that again because I just called him. He's Van Rooyening my lineup a little too much. So I want to go away from that. I'll play him in the millionaire maker. I'm okay with him. Homa, man, I don't really know what to do with this guy. I feel like this should be a good spot for him, but he couldn't make the cut last week against a way worse field. So I think I'm out on Homa. I'm in on Brendan Todd, though. Did I ask you about Brendan Todd?
No, but I don't have interest, so go ahead. Floor is yours.
Yeah. I think he makes the cut. First off, I loved the aspect of he got back to hitting fairways at TPC River Highlands. He was peppering them. He looked good again at the Rocket Mortgage. After totally blundering the Travelers, he ended up bouncing back okay at the Rocket Mortgage. So I think at 6,900, I like him. And you mentioned Ches Reavie. Ches Reavie also at 6,700. I believe they get through. Now I'm going to ask you to finish up the Make the Cut segment. I saved these two guys for last because I know that they're fans of yours. Bud Cauley. Or other way around. You're fans of theirs.
Bud should be a fan of mine.
Actually, you know what? Bud Cauley and Emiliano Grillo at this point should be fans of yours because you pump up their brand more than anybody. So let's get some love back to them, guys. Do they make the weekend here?
I do think they make the weekend. I feel much better about, as crazy as it sounds, Grillo, he missed the cut last week. Ball striking is still kind of there. He's not going to be great with the short game. Bud Cauley, and I've said this, I've played him a lot. I thought last week was a spot. It was not. And now it's time to reevaluate. You can't just play a guy forever and just say, oh, well, we're going to see what happens. Doesn't mean I'm going to flat zero, but I have stopped using him in crucial spots. Okay. I moved some of his shares to Troy Merritt this week, which is something I never would consider doing. So trying to keep realistic, but I do think he has enough to still possibly fight through that cut.
Yeah, Troy Merritt actually just was brought up in our chat. A couple of more guys. I do think Merritt gets to the weekend again. His greens in regulation was really good. He seems like his ball striking is pretty good, so I got him getting to the weekend. Jim Furyk. I don't think this is a good course for him at all. I think he goes by the wayside. I don't think he makes it. And then Siwoo Kim and Wyndham Clark. I got neither of them making it as well this week. I think it's just it's too difficult of a course for Wyndham Clark, in my opinion. Yep. All right. Taylor Gooch actually had another good week here last week. Does he make the weekend for the second straight week?
I think it's a fine play. But I said this earlier in the show, and I guess this is where I can tie a bow on it. The problem I had with Stars and Scrubs is just all these guys. I don't know how many of them have dealt with a field and with conditions that we might possibly see here. There's a difference between playing in the swing season and crushing and ripping off top 10s and top 15s and playing in a field like this in an event like this, to me. Now, if the cut is 4 under again, I'm going to be wrong, and you're going to see these guys pepper the leaderboard. But if the cut is 3 over, a lot of these guys, the Seb Strakas of the world and the Lantos, and I'm not saying they're bad players. I don't think they thrive in situations like this. So I kept it pretty minimal down there, and I stuck to guys with more, established track records, to be honest.
Sergio Garcia, I guess we didn't bring him up. I'm sorry. And then I'll talk about... Yeah, I think he's a fine play. His around the green's been great. If he has to make a 10-footer to make the cut at some point in his back 9 on Friday, you're in trouble. I'm not going to sit here and lie.
Yeah, you lost. It's over.
You're done. But he has not shown that he's been close to that. He's been well inside the line with his ball striking has been carrying him. But if that goes, it's in trouble. Not going to lie. The next guy I want to talk about real quick, a bunch of people have asked about him. It is his first time playing out here. Haotong Lee. Here's the problem with Haotong and me. We know that he's got the upside. He sprays the driver way too much for this golf course. I'm out on Haotong. In fact, I went to the betting markets here to Bernd Wiesberger, who's also playing his first time. I think Bernd is much better suited for a golf course like this versus Haotong. So that's how I played Haotong this week. I just went and took Bernd Wiesberger instead.
Similar to me, except I went to Matthias Schwab, and I kept it pretty light though because we haven't seen these Euro guys in months. You just have to be careful. I think that Wiesberger would have a perfect fit here, and I think Schwab honestly would be a decent fit.
Me too, yeah.
I wish I knew the form, so I have a little. You have to be careful just because you don't know what these guys have been doing.
Yeah, we don't. They could have been sitting on their bum doing nothing, or they could have been grinding.
We don't know.
Like last week, Nick Taylor came out firing. He hadn't played yet. Now he couldn't get his putter going. All right, one more on this make the cut before we move on. I just saw, Brandon Grace. That was the only guy. 6,300 random withdraw last week, but the price will be enticing to some.
Yeah, I think if you think a play is incredibly difficult and you need a pure punt, you can look there. I didn't mess around with guys. Nick Taylor didn't make it for me. Grace didn't make it for me. And that's why, honestly, I know deep dives and that I didn't have.
Yeah, let's go to there. Yeah,
I really didn't have. I got a hot take, and that's no better time than now to get to that. But just to sum up for me, I didn't reach that much down there because I felt it was pretty unnecessary, and I thought that I could end with really a fine 6 golfer. You want to go first with the hot take? You want me to go first? What do you think? Yeah,
well, let me ask you this first because. Okay. One of the guys in here is part of my hot take. Actually, no, just kidding. He's not in there, but it's from Coolers. I thought Coolers would have put this guy in here, but he didn't. But now that I brought up Coolers, I got to ask it anyway. Okay, Jason Kokrak, Brian Moore, Bud Cauley, who we talked about, Zach Johnson, CT Pan, Graham McDowell, Kevin Knott, and Brian Stewart. Give me one you're playing this week.
Ryan Moore. I think he's pretty close. I think if he can get wedges in his hand here, he will be all right this week. 6,900, don't mind that price. And you're going to get, we'll dive into Super F in a second. He's a kind of an interesting multiplier. But hot takes, chat. Before we do hot takes, we got to get the likes up. We got a lot of people in here. Hit that like button. Appreciate it. We love you guys hanging out with us, breaking down this golf. And we're going to try to hit a hot take for you. You want to go first? I have a good one. I actually think I'm live for a change.
Okay, yeah, I'll go first. Last week, I almost went back-to-back weeks. I had Wolf 2 weeks ago in top 10. Last week I said Sam Burns. So I'm scrolling through on Sunday. Play has kind of started. It's been an hour and a half in. I'm like, he's in the top 5. He plays one hole. I'm like, where the hell did he go? what's going on here? Did he withdraw? So I went all the way to the bottom of the leaderboard. He wasn't there. No, he just tripled the first hole, kept the ball in play the whole time, hit the fairway and tripled the first hole, never recovered, came in the top 20, so that still paid. It was a decent payout, but obviously a top 10 and 5 would have been much better. I'm going to go with a guy that I have definitely lost and won some money on both sides. But I saw him make the cut last week, and I saw his off the tee improve. I saw his fairways hit improve, and it just seems like a tough golf course where you need to be able to putt and chip. I got Andrew Putnam coming in the top 20. Now, I know that's not terribly hot, but it's still a 15-1 payout on DraftKings right now. I like Andrew Putnam top 20. I think it's time for him to start playing good again. I saw his irons tick up last week. He, in fact, gained strokes with his irons. I got Putnam top 20 this week.
I like that. Like I said, we save the crazy for the majors. I am going to go. We have 3 Spaniards in the field, I believe. One is RCB, and I don't like him.
Yep.
I'm going to say that we get 2 top 10 finishes from Spaniards. So Sergio and Ram are 2 guys I think play well here. They're paired together, too. When we talk about that, I do like them kind of playing off each other and possibly having a really good week.
Yeah, it's Ram, Sergio, and
Finau, I believe.
Finau, yeah. Somebody asked about Finau. Finau was 600. Actually, Finau played with Ram today in that thing, so there's obviously some camaraderie going on there. Maybe they can draft off each other. If you like those, put them all together. That's what I would say.
Yeah, very true. All right, let's get to last topic here, and then we'll bounce on out for the night. Super Draft multipliers. There's some good ones. So we talked about it. Again, obviously, you should get over there. We talked about who we like up top. I'm going to get it started because there are some guys as you go down. I'm going to mention Troy Merritt again. He's 1.45x over there. I think that's just too much. All he really has to do is make the cut. You've spoke at length about a couple times. I believe Brian Harmon did that for you once. Chez, 1.35x. Is there anyone else for you that stood out maybe a little down the Super Draft rankings?
All right, so Coolers must have been watching me make my Super Draft lineup.
You know, he's got
those guys because
he hacked Twitter today. Coolers is on a mission. He's been all over the computers. He's in the virus section here.
Oh, see, he must. I'm telling you, he must have been watching me. So, CT Pan was the first guy that I clicked on Super Draft. 1.5x. He is. Now, okay, I got into the CT Pan trap last year where I played him at the U.S. Open because all he did was hit fairways. He got up to the U.S. Open and didn't hit 50% of his fairways and blew the cut. I mean, wasn't even close.
Yeah, it's insane.
Now I'll play him here at 1.5x on Super Draft. He is playing the same course he played last week where he almost led the field in driving accuracy. I feel like he's been close. I like him at 1.5x. My hot take, Andrew Putnam, is also at 1.5x. I like putting both of them in the lineup with Brooks Koepka, who I already mentioned at 1.15. Couple of other guys that stood out as we go up to the 1.4 range. You already mentioned Troy Merritt. I had him written down. And then I had one other one that I thought was just way overpriced. Chez Reavie is at 1.35. I'd like to use him on other places. I think that I would rather play like Adam Hadwin at 1.35x. I thought that's Adam Hadwin and Rory Sabatini, who I like a lot. On other sites, I think 1.35 is a really good steal for them. If they come in the top 25, that's going to be a top 10 score with that multiplier. So I really like both of those. Go ahead.
I'll just say this, and believe me, I would not do this. But if you were going to play Berger, he's 1.25x here. And if you just look at the guys that he's around, he's with Glover, RCB, Streelman, Lowry. That's almost a $1,500 difference on salary sites, and you're getting the same multiplier for him. You know, those guys are in the low 7s and Berger's in the mid 8s, yet they're all 1.25x. So if I was going to play him, it would probably be there. I still wouldn't do it, but just so if you do like Berger this week, that's probably a good spot to take advantage.
Yeah, Zach from our chat also just mentioned Alex Noren at 1.4. If you believe that Noren has come back, good spot to use him there, certainly on the 1.4x. So, all right, I just want to make sure that we've covered most of the chats. It looks like Jason Zyman from our Slack channel says that Mateus Schwab is going to win him all the money. So it looks like he's aligned with you there. Love to see that. Last question we'll get from the chat. I just saw, who is your best under 8K guy for DraftKings? Is it Paul Casey? And my answer is no. I like to go down a little bit further if I had to play a guy under 8K. If just one guy, I do like Joaquin Neiman there as well. He's just under 8K.
Under 8K, yeah. I mean, I say this. I tried to get to Reed right above 8K in a lot of spots. If I didn't do that, though, Sergio is right there, and I do feel, I don't want to say comfortable with him, but I leaned on him with his driving abilities, and hopefully we get the irons that we saw at Heritage. So a lot of options this week. Chat, good stuff again tonight. We appreciate you. Follow us on Twitter, handles right there, but more importantly, get behind the paywall. Awesemo Plus, we want you as part of the family. For the rest of the golf season, MLB, NBA coming back. You know, Josh Engelman, Lofty, the whole team is getting ready. The morning show is no more because they are in the lab getting ready. For all sports being back, we got Jordan Klein behind the glass tonight. So we want to say thanks to everybody. Good luck at the Memorial. We will be back next week once again. Hopefully someone takes something down. Good luck, chat. We'll see you here, same time, same place.